Hi, folks.
Hi. Hi.
I don't know if you're sideways or not right now on the screen. I'm sorry if you are.
Yes.
I had to, at the last moment, switch from using my computer, which wouldn't get strong enough internet, to using my cell phone again, which can use data. The internet in my house is a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to our story time moment today for this date in June, which is June the 12th. Hard to believe.
Yeah.
I'm Shannon McLean. I'm the youth minister from Woodlawn United Church, in case you don't know me.
My name's Anne.
My name's Julia.
And we're here to talk to you today about this week's story theme for our scripture.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, if I'm sideways, sorry. I'll see if I can fix it later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this week has been very intense. It's been an intense couple weeks because, as many of you from Woodlawn know, I am leaving Woodlawn very shortly. We're moving, aren't we?
Yeah.
Where are we moving?
Churro.
Yeah, we're moving to Truro. And so I've spent a lot of time saying goodbye to folks over this last while, making phone calls and having some people call me and having some people drop in. Remember we had the outside visits with the Sunday school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sat far, far away, but we had little visits with the family. So anybody who came, thank you. It was really great.
Yeah.
And during a lot of those conversations and those phone calls, people would thank me for my ministry.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. But I would often respond and say, thank you for our ministry.
Yeah.
Because I think that if there is one thing that I've tried to remind people during all my years at Woodlawn, it's that we are all ministers,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We all have different gifts to share, and we all have a role to play. So this week, every week there's a number of scriptures, but this week I actually want to talk to you a little bit about two of them.
Yes.
The first one is from the book called Matthew.
Yeah.
Matthew's one of the Gospels, and it tells the stories of Jesus's life and ministry. And then there's another book in the Bible, and it's called Romans. And this book is made up of the letters that Paul wrote to the new church in Rome.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear a little bit from both of those today. So in Matthew, the story is about how Jesus tells his 12 disciples to go out.
Yes.
He tells his disciples it's time for them to go out into the world and to do their ministry.
Yes.
And he wants them to tell the good news to people,
Yeah.
good news about God.
Yes.
He wants them to heal the sick.
Yes.
He wants them to get rid of the evil. It is a big job.
Good job.
A big job, right? And in the story, he sends all 12 of his followers,
Yes.
including Judas.
Yes.
And that's kind of interesting because we know the story. We've heard the story lots of times. A lot of us have anyway, about how in the end, it's Jesus's friend, Judas, who betrays him. It's one of his own disciples who goes to the authorities and turns over Jesus.
Yes.
A horrible thing, a terrible thing. But even though Judas did this terrible, horrible thing,
Yes.
or is going to do it, I guess. He hasn't done it yet in the story.
Yeah.
He was still sent out. And it makes me think about how Judas wasn't perfect.
No.
In fact, that was a very bad thing to do,
Yes, Anne.
right?
Yes.
And I bet you that none of the disciples were perfect either. And I think also that none of us are perfect.
No, Shannon.
Are you perfect?
Yes.
Are you?
No.
Are you perfect?
No.
Probably not. Probably none of us are perfect, are we? And even though none of us are perfect, we are all perfectly created
Yes.
to work towards God's mission on earth. We're all perfectly created to be ministers. And we can't all be the same kind of minister. We can't all do the same things, but we can all do different things. And that's what happened in that story, is that Jesus was asking those 12 people to go out and to do what they have gifts to do, to help the world become a better place,
Yeah.
to be more like the world that God dreams of.
Yeah.
But it won't always be easy. And that's the other part of that story. It talks about how it's going to be hard. And then in the second scripture of Romans, it says this. Now, this sounds a little bit complicated, but I'm going to break it down for you in a minute. It says, suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character,
Yeah.
and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint. And I think what that means is that sometimes there are really hard times.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are really, really difficult. And we can't get to the hope right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to go through some of the pain, some of the suffering, some of the hardship before we can even see the hope again. Even though we know deep inside of us that the hope is there, but sometimes we have to go through these difficult times. And when I look around the world right now,
Yeah.
I see a lot of things that make me very sad. I see a lot of things that really, sometimes I even cry because I see people who are not being treated nicely. They're being treated badly because of the color of their skin,
Yeah.
right? We see people who are angry and who are protesting and who are frustrated.
Yeah.
And we see these things that aren't very good things, right? And some days it's a little bit hard to find the hope, even though we know it's there. And so we're reminded, though, of those words in Roman, that suffering, so the hard parts, produces endurance, which lets us keep going. And endurance produces character, makes us stronger, makes us more courageous, maybe. And character produces hope. And hope does not disappoint us.
No.
And sometimes we know, first, we have to go through the hard things so that we can work to make it better. And we need to remember, though, that it takes all of us, every single one of us is called to make this world a better place. And that all of us, even those of us who are not perfect, even those of us who maybe have made some mistakes in our lives, we're all called to do that work. And that in the end, the hope will not disappoint us. And we're also reminded that we never have to do it alone. That God's Spirit is always with us.
Yeah.
And if we open ourselves up to God's Spirit, we can be filled with the hope and the peace and the courage and the joy and the gifts that are of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So, we're going to say a prayer,
Yeah.
and then we'll go on with the rest of our days.
Yes.
And everybody who keeps watching our worship moments will hear a little bit more about some of these scriptures as the time goes on.
Yeah.
So let's say a prayer. Do you want to repeat after me? Okay. God, who is always with us,
God, who are always
None
with us,
give us the courage
give us the courage
to use our gifts
to use our gifts
to make the world
to make the world
a better place,
a better place,
even when it is not easy.
even when it's not easy.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
and we hope you are able to find some hope in your day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.